welcome to the second video for the simPRO quote training. This video, we're going to go over entering the permanent cost center list and what the sections and names are in regards to those. We're also going to go over how to name the quote letter with the job name. That is a manual field that we have to complete. And then we'll go over the quote letter in the next video. So starting off here, we're going to be starting off in our cost center right where we left off from the previous. So we either came in through people, we went to customers or sites, or we came into quotes and we went directly to project quote, and we set up a new quote by selecting a customer, a site, providing it with a quote name using our scopes, and then ensuring that we have a primary contact, a sales rep, and a project manager. Okay, now we are going to describe our scopes to our client. So these sections that we are about to create, the names of those sections are going to be the scopes of work. So for example, we have seal coat and crack seal, that is one through. So we are going to add that as one line item. We add those by typing in our name in the name field. Then we come on over and click this add button. You can also simply hit enter while your cursor is in this field and it will add it for you as well. We're also going to go ahead and do pressure wash. And also do some stripes. Okay. Now, again, these are the titles for the scopes of work as the client will see them. So when we open our quote letter, we'll see that it says seal coat and crack seal as a line item, and it'll have a dollar amount at the end, and then pressure wash and a dollar amount at the end, just like you see by your normal quote letters. Okay. The other thing to know here is that in the order you place these is the order in which it will show up on the quote letter. So if you do not want them in this specific order, all you have to do is grab this little gray bar on the left side with the little dots, and you just drag it into the place where you would like it. Okay. Once you are done and you have it organized as you would like to see it in the quote, you make sure to hit save. It's very important to save often so you do not lose your work, especially if you're interrupted. The next thing that you'll want to do real quick is just assign your cost centers to each of your sections. This actually ties it to the department that performs the work. So for seal coat, it's going to be seal coat, select seal coat and add, select stripe for stripe and add, and select pressure wash and add. Now, it's important to do this part. If we do not have this cost center down here, we cannot add our scope of work. That being the 120 feet that we want to do a pressure wash or 150 stalls of stripe. This has to be here for us to tell the system that, and we will get into that momentarily. So once we have selected our cost center and each one has one assigned here, we're going to go ahead and click save. Now I can watch this change from number 117 to number 117-272. So I know that it has saved my change. So that's just the indicator I can look for. Now we're going to go back and we're going to label our quote letter job name. So once we're done with this and fleshing out our scope, we can go straight to our quote letter and take a look. Okay. So what we're going to do once we've saved, once again, we're going to go to details. We're going to go to settings, and then we're going to come down to our custom fields and quote letter job name. Now normally this field will be blank. I did have that from a previous attempt. So we're going to come down to our quote letter job name in custom fields. We're going to go ahead and type in our job name, and this is going to be what the name of the project is for your client. So if they're calling this Advanced Auto Sales Pavement Repair, that's what we want to call the job as it's going to appear on the quote letter. Okay. Once you've done that, go ahead and select save. Once that has saved, we can come back on over to our cost center list. This is where we entered our scopes. And what we're going to do is we're going to start building out our scope. So I started by clicking on, go back a second here. So I started by clicking on seal coat. I'm clicking on this blue link here, and that's going to take me to the seal coat section of my cost center for this project. Okay. What I want to do now is I want to add parts and labor, and I want to use a takeoff. Always starting with takeoffs when possible, because that includes our equipment. So we're going to go ahead and find our seal coat group. Okay, and then I'm going to come down and I'm going to look for the scope that I want to add. Now I want to add steel cut normal asphalt and I want to add crack steel. And notice that I'm only putting ones here. I am not putting the actual scope. If I were to put the actual scope, let's go ahead and do that real quick and then we'll come back and we'll do it normally. So I can push that in there. I can hit enter to click to add them, or I can click this add button here. Watch the middle of the screen though, as I will show you that it's added the items as soon as I click this button. So it tells you that the items are added. And then once we do that, we can come on over to our billable tab and take a look. And notice that the equipment that I have is also set at 35,000. I can drop that down to 1, but I still have to change it. So best practice is going to be to enter 1 on your main screen. So that way you're not having weird numbers like this come up for the equipment. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and remove all those real quick. Come back up to the template. We're still in seal code. I can do a 1. I can do a 1 again and watch the middle of the screen one more time. This time I'm just going to hit enter. I find that to be more efficient. Items added. Great. Now I'm going to come back to my billable tab. And I've got ones here instead. So what I can do is I can update my scope. Okay. And then what I need to do is I need to break out my time. Okay, so that's going to be about 28 hours, 5 people, that's about, that's roughly about 6 hours. So I'm going to go ahead and round up to 6 hours. Generally, the policy is to round to the 10th place. So if I had 28 points, or if my total per employee came up to like 5.698, I would round that up to the 10th place for that first decimal digit. Okay. Once you've updated your equipment times, everything else looks good. We're going to go ahead and save that work. Then we're going to come back over to the details tab and we're going to round out our number because we don't want decimals. So we're going to just say this is 6650. We're going to click update. I'm going to click save. Now I am done with my seal coat. I'm going to just rerun through my numbers and everything, do whatever you want to make sure that this is satisfactory for you. Once you're done with this scope, you can come right back up into your breadcrumbs at the top here and go right back to your cost centers on your project. We've got our seal coat in there. Now we can do our stripe. Okay, same process. We're going to go to parts and labor. We're going to go to takeoff. We're going to select stripe in our groups. We're going to say restripe. We're going to do 1. Come over to our billable tab. Update our totals. We'll say there's 10 of these, 8 of these, 8 of these. I'll say 120 of these. Okay, and then we do need to know how many hours. We've got 6.6. 3 hours. This is a 2-man cruise. I'm just going to say 3.3 hours. Okay, go ahead and hit save once I've got all that done. Then we're going to come back over to the details once again. Go to our total, do our rounding. We'll just call this 50. Update that. Save. And then we've got to come back to our cost centers one more time because we do have an additional scope. We're going to get our pressure wash in there. So once again, parts and labor, take off, pressure wash. I'm going to enter 1 here. Go back to our billable tab. We're going to say it's 220. That's a little over an hour, so we're just going to leave it at an hour. Okay, great. So once I've got that done, I'm going to go ahead and save that work. Go back to my details tab and get the number. Now, if there are any kind of minimums, this is kind of where you want to look for that and update those as needed. Once you've completed all your scopes, you can go all the way back down in your breadcrumbs to your project level. And we will cover reviewing the quote letter in the next video.